Good evening, good evening. It's a Sunday evening podcast show again, and Aditya is with me once again. Good, looking forward to this particular show because we don't get to do these podcasts quite regularly when cricket's on. Sometimes there's review shows, preview shows, all of those type of things that need to be done. Tonight we can just sit back, relax, and enjoy the show and talk about cricket, life, every single thing that's happened to us. Aditya looks quite relaxed there. How's things going with you?
How is it, my brother? I'm good. I am quite relaxed actually. I'm traveling. I'm away from Bombay. I'll be back home tomorrow. So yeah, I am relaxed. Nice environment around here.
No, that's great. So what you been up to for the weekend? What did you do for the weekend?
So I'm actually this place called Madhuban, which is in a small, which is a small city in Gujarat called Anand.
Okay.
And we came here by train. We're going back by train. Easy journey. There's a nice pool around here. The food is great. It's been fun. Just walking around, chilling. It's nice.
That's nice to get to have that relaxation going. It must be nice. Yeah, I've just been having a sporting weekend myself. Been watching a lot of sport. Everything that's on TV. I basically watched the entire Premier League, every single Premier League game almost. I would say. Try to get some joy before we play Liverpool tomorrow evening. So like, I need to get at least joy somewhere else before I actually get joy from my own team. Um, in fact, yesterday was also a sad day too. We had it was the funeral of my former sensei that the morning, and that's how the day started. Um, was very sad. Also great to see a lot of people that I haven't seen in years, and the fact that we recognize each other, even though that I've grown quite a bit in the time since I've been there with him. So it was nice to catch up, and also good to see that everybody still that people are still involved with judo, etc. So it was a yeah, it was an interesting morning. But the rest of the day just watching sport. Um, and now we come today with this particular show, and I would say probably quite a hectic show. It's something that when I first saw the reports come out, the comments come out from the CEO, it angered me a little bit. So I'm going to read it out to you guys now for the ones that don't know about it. First and foremost, let me just get it on the screen for you. And yeah, it's interesting. He said we need to find balance between the new league and the bilateral cricket. We needed to create enough space so that we do not have international fixtures clashing with our new league. We know that you need to play a minimum of 2 tests in a series for the World Test Championship, and that's what we've done. We also have to be honest that hosting tests cost us money. It is sad that we don't play more tests, especially for purists. We don't have enough tests, but with the congestion of the calendar, we have a balance and a schedule that makes sense, especially with the league in mind. We are not the BCCI. We don't have a clear calendar for our league, and we have to work around that. The FPT structure around tests and members have discussions around the number of white ball games they want to play as add ons or standalone events. We will still have some talks around that, and we are hopeful we'll have more matches. So that's what was said by our CEO. I don't like that this was kind of CSA's decision in a way. I think that what irritates me a little bit over here. Um, you could say to a degree that they were forced into this. The hand was forced in a way because the ICC have scheduled so many matches for ODIs now to be able to obviously register now to be able to be um, to qualify for the tournaments. The T20 leagues is every 2 years, so you need your players to play that too. But we can see that we are prioritizing money over here. It doesn't seem like it anything else to me if I'm looking at it from on the surface of it. I mean, Graeme Smith also said a couple of things which I'll read out to you. Those quotes were, by the way, from ESPNcricinfo. Firdose Moonda wrote a piece on it, and that's where the quotes come from. But this next quote comes from a little interview I did, Jan. I don't know if you saw it, um, but it was during the test, and they had Graeme Smith there. And this is what Graeme had to say about everything. He said, it's an investment. He's talking about the new league now. It's an investment into our game that South African cricket desperately needed. The pressures on nations like New Zealand, West Indies, and South Africa to remain financially sustainable and keep up with the Indias and Englands and stay competitive is hugely important. It was important for that South African cricket got its own commercial league, going like the rest of the world. It's an investment into grassroots and takes pressure off cricket South Africa. A big part of the ownership agreements is that the new owners have to look at the grassroots and the development programs and how they would impact that. That's a very important sentence right there. The opportunity for our players to interact with other top players, top coaches, really professional cricketers, environments is really important for us. And hopefully that will see a talent pool that will get stronger and stronger and benefit cricket across the board. So that's kind of diplomatic. I would say we would have seen him saying that next bit. Even the ICC, their focus is now moved into the events space. There's one day tournaments happening every year now, bilaterals, and the context of bilaterals needed clarification. These types of series is what they're talking about. Um, are fantastic to watch, but when you're of throwing in the ODI here and a T20 over there, you're making up stuff to fill the broadcast contracts, basically. Um, and people get confused, and it's hard for the players as well. Then he moved on to Test cricket and how this affects Test cricket. With Test cricket, it's iconic nations or the big cricketing nations that are contributing to Test cricket at the moment. I think it's fantastic, especially under Virat Kohli, that India really took Test cricket seriously. They lead the way with that. But as long as we've got competitive teams, you're not going to have 10, 11, 12, 13, or 14 competitive teams. You might only be down to 5 or 6 nations that play Test cricket at this level. Richa, I don't like to hear that because I was really hoping that Test cricket would grow, that more nations would play, that would be the main format. Because of the expenses around obviously putting a Test series together, nations are focusing more on the white ball format. You see, now I can understand this from a logistics perspective. So when I'm looking at a test match and when I see things happen, and a lot of the times I get to see behind the scenes, for example, at Newlands, I'll get to see behind the scenes how much work goes into putting a series together. I've been there before test series, leading up, throughout the test match, and seeing how everything gets put together and the effort that gets put in. For obviously bilateral series, etc., to put on two T20 games quickly within 3 days, it doesn't take as much admin. It's a lot of hype within a couple of days, but poof, it's gone afterwards. So you don't lose that amount of money. In Test cricket as well, um, you're obviously going for 5 days. You plan for those 5 days. If it goes 4 or 3, you lose money ultimately. Um, because in the end, you would have obviously planned for that, budgeted for that, food wise, or staff wise, broadcast, everything wise. You obviously prepare for it to go for the full 5 days. So I can understand that with regards to money, it can be an issue. Um, but for me, that's why I say, for example, this T20 international cricket, why have it? Because if each country has these domestic T20 leagues that has taken so much time. I mean, the BBL, I saw someone say it in the comment section, I think in a previous show, is like 3 months. I mean, the IPL running for 2 months, the out tournament probably about a month. I mean, we're talking about massive chunks out of the year where cricketers are occupied from all around the world. So yeah, it's sad to me that this is the direction that is going. But what's your thoughts on what Graham said? What's your thoughts on what the CEO had to say.
It's an unfortunate situation because I think South Africa is such a strong and proud cricketing nation that for it to have fewer test matches is just heartbreaking. And I feel in particular for the test specialists in the team, guys like Dean Elgar, for example. Um, he deserves to play more test cricket. He's been a champion of the game. He's so committed to test cricket. He deserves to play more test cricket. And um, I do think that because money is a consideration, and I can understand that, but I feel like there needs to be there needs to be a revamp in the way that host boards pay for test cricket. So for example, we've talked about this often, about the fact that they have to pay the vendors for 5 days, or broadcasters have to pay for cameras for 5 days, the food has to be paid for 5 days. And I don't know how the economics work behind the scene, but if there could be a change in the way that you pay on a per day basis as opposed to a test match basis, then perhaps there could be some sort of change where if a test match runs 3 days and you pay for those 3 days and not for five. Or perhaps there needs to be a way whereby, look, I think what bothers me about this entire situation is that we're all talking about the logistical problems for teams and the financial considerations that that boards have to sort of take into account in order to host test cricket. But I'm not hearing any solutions from that point of view, because we like, the conversation is always about the death of test cricket, or doing whatever we can to ensure that test cricket is competitive. But I don't in the media there isn't enough conversation about how countries can deal with the logistical challenges of hosting test cricket. And I would like to see that happen a lot more, because ultimately we talk about test cricket surviving or not. And obviously the reason for that is not always going to be the quality of cricket. South Africa is always going to be a strong team. The problem is your logistics. And I think a lot of focus needs to be put in that department, and I don't see that at the moment, because I know for a fact that I think the most fun that I've had, and perhaps I can speak for you and the rest of our team as well, that I think the most fun that we have on this platform is when we're reporting on Test cricket.
Yeah.
When we're analyzing Test cricket.
Hmm.
Whether it was South Africa series in Pakistan, or during the India South Africa series. Like, I had COVID. I was isolated in my room. I was watching Test cricket all day, and then I was coming on the show, and we were discussing Test cricket.
Yeah.
Like, that's amazing. It's like I'm checking my oxygen and I'm seeing if it's fine, and then I'm coming on the show to see if it's all right. So I think that's how committed we are to Test cricket. And
Yeah.
you know, I would love to see for a solution, and I totally agree with you. T20 internationals are, please, they're pointless. They're utterly ridiculous. I don't know why anyone is playing them. Uh, but yeah, I guess it's less costly to host them.
You see, I can also see the other side of the coin here. I mean, good business decisions need to be made, and I don't think the CEO had any choice, or the CSA had any choice. I feel they were backed into a corner as well, because we can't compete with the top leagues if we don't have our own league. And I feel that South Africa deserves our own league. We have the talent. We've shown that we can throw an entertainment competition. We've done two in a row with the Mzansi Super League. It was very entertaining. The problem with South African cricket, though, and I know people will maybe look at Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, and Pakistan and say they may be poorer than us, their nations. Not actually. The reason I say that is broadcasting rights are important. I think broadcasting brings in a hell of a lot of money into the game too. With Supersport obviously owning all the rights to cricket, it makes it a little bit difficult for us to spread the numbers to get people to watch cricket as much as possible. So our full country doesn't get to watch it. So it makes it harder for advertising. It makes it harder for them to make it monetizable. Whereas in England, it's one of the biggest sports. In India, it is the biggest sport. In Australia, it's one of the biggest as well, if not the biggest or the second biggest in the country. So there's a lot of Pakistan is the biggest, Bangladesh is the biggest, Sri Lanka is the biggest. When you're looking around the world, in South Africa, you wouldn't say that cricket is the biggest sport. I mean, some people would even put it in third with the amount of people that support football and rugby in this country. So we have no choice but to play this T20 league. It's the only way I feel at the moment. Not the only way, but it's one of the biggest ways for us to be able to generate money for our domestic scene. When I go back to that sentence from Graeme Smith, where he says that a big part of the ownership agreements is that the new owners have to look at the grassroots and the development programs and how they would impact that. So there is obviously from Cricket South Africa side a drive to be more involved in the development side and grassroots of the sport in South Africa. This league will generate the money that I feel that we need to be able to put ourselves back into a better financial state. I had rumors flying around last year that, on closer to the beginning of this year, that CSA are in so much trouble financially that it's going to be hard for them to even try and have under 19 tours and SA emerging tours or SA tours. So for those tour programs, it's been tough for them too. So if that is the case, and if we are as in trouble as we are, then there is no choice but to try and get as much money as we can from this T20 league. But I didn't want it to affect the rest of the cricket that is happening in the country, especially our test cricket. I mean, for someone like KG, I mean, I want to see him go down as the top wicket takers of all time in South African cricket. He is already, but I mean, I want to see him at the top, even maybe surpassing Dale Steyn. That would have been a great thing to see for our generation. Um, but everything's affecting him with the amount of cricket he's been playing, white ball cricket, ODI cricket, and then T20 cricket international as domestic T20s. But also with the amount of tests we play, we don't play enough for him to be able to actually get a good run at it and to have a proper go. It was a problem in the past too. I mean, Dale Steyn hasn't played as many tests as others have. South Africa's never played as many tests as other nations. What I think is unfair here is that I do feel that Test cricket increases the stature of the country's cricket in the country, right? I think it's the pinnacle level of cricket. When you become a great test nation, it gives you stature in the game. I feel it's unfair that only the top nations are now getting an opportunity to do so. Only they get an opportunity to be that, and they only going to grow. What about the rest? So that's why I think that's why I see why CSA went this direction. Could they have maybe picked a different slot in the year that it doesn't affect it too much? Perhaps they could have. But I know that they were running into problems with regards to other leagues that were playing at that exact same time. So CSA made a decision. It seems like it that okay, if we're going to lose these players to those nations, to those domestic leagues anyway, we might as well have our own league and lose it to our own and benefit from it. So I think that was maybe the thought process going into the Sadicha. Let's get into some of the comment section, see what the guys say here, and let's respond to them. Um, do you want to have a go before we go?
Yeah, actually, I want to
Yeah.
respond to Justin and Shatil to explain why I said T20 internationals are pointless. Uh, for a couple of reasons. One is that they might be money spinners. They might make money, but in the long term, it's not going to benefit the state of your cricket for a number of reasons. You look at all the interviews that we've done on this channel, virtually every quality T20 player will tell you that the red ball cricket that they've played has helped them become better T20 players. So over a long period of time, you may have your T20 specialists, but they will stagnate. Their games won't develop to the degree that your great T20 players will have had. You look at all the leading T20 cricketers over the world. Okay, all of them. Okay, take Brendan McCullum for an example. We think of Brendan McCullum as this swashbuckling, aggressive, flashy, flamboyant sort of player. He's played 101 test matches. You can't take that out of the equation. Chris Gale has played 103 test matches. He's got triple hundreds. That makes him a better T20 player. So the thing is, I understand the financial implications of Test cricket. I also understand the money that comes in with a new T20 league. I also understand. Look, with the IPL, it's become like I don't even know what the math is anymore. It's gone over $1 billion. But the truth of the matter is that if there's no Test cricket, we're not going to have the quality of T20 cricket that all of us want to watch. It's just not going to happen. So while I understand that CSA needs to make sound financial decisions, ultimately it's the quality of cricket that is going to bring fans to the stadium, and that is going to bring fans to the television if they choose to watch at home. it's
Yeah.
it's as simple as that. And the quality of your cricket is only going to remain intact if your players are playing test cricket. Simple as that.
Mm. And not only, I wouldn't say only Test cricket. I mean 4-day cricket too in the equation. Um,
Yeah, first class cricket.
yeah, first
Yeah,
class cricket. Yeah, in general.
yeah.
So I don't think Aditya means only Test cricket. I think he means first class cricket in general as well. Um, because I mean, yeah, because like we know that technique is important, and we know that you learn certain techniques from playing first class cricket. We spoke to Thurston Stubbs. He told us as well. I mean, that's a good example. He told us as well what first class cricket has done to his game, learning those type of things. There are many players. David Warner spoke about it too. I mean, we heard Herschel Gibbs, one of the most exciting South African batters. Most people will say, "Oh, we wish we had Herschel Gibbs today." He himself said it too. He said more first class cricket needs to be played. It will increase levels of the T20 game. I mean, merely because everything is advanced, it will be easy for that particular. I am sad that we're playing the less test cricket, but on the same time, I'm happy that we have something that could increase the monetary value of CSA again. I feel that I like the fact that we're getting some injection of money into the system to increase it and richen it up, and increase our, and maybe put some more financial aid into our pipeline and our grassroots. And the T20 league will do that for us. I'm glad about that, but I'm also sad that it's at the expense of Test cricket, and that's where I'm sad about, because it's not only for us, it's for other nations too that will be suffering. I think from with regards to a Test cricket perspective. Okay, let me get into some of the comments over here. See what you guys have had to say. Some people don't think T20 league is growing more than Test. Look at stadiums in Test cricket versus T20 cricket. Um,
That is as much. Look, that's the way society functions, is that you can't have people basically sacrificing their work day to come to watch a test match. That's not going to happen. Okay, which is why boards started looking at day night tests, which have
mm,
been, in my view, a resounding success. You look at the number of people that go to a day night test, it's massive. We've got full stadiums in Adelaide, in India, in South Africa as well, I believe.
yeah, and PE.
But yeah, but look, the reason,
Gqeberha.
look, I think boards historically have been very poor at marketing test cricket. They have to do a much better job of marketing test cricket. And look, I think India is extremely fortunate that they've had Virat Kohli, who is among the most, who's just right now, I was reading uh, a list of the most popular sports persons in India, and he's top of the list by a country mile. um, so he's been a champion of test cricket, and I think he's almost pulled the country together with respect to our passion for test cricket. So we've been fortunate there, but I think just generally the ICC and individual boards have not marketed Test cricket well enough, in my view. You know, you
Mm.
compare that. You look at how flashy the advertisements are for for T20 cricket, and you look at how the IPL is marketed, for example. You know, I think what's really happening is that the ICC is learning these lessons too late. You know, because there was that opportunity to make the ODI World Cup a lot more flamboyant and accessible and things like that, and they did that in the 2019 World Cup. But it was way after they sort of saw the way the IPL was marketing its tournament. You know, and I think that's where there is a problem there. They're learning the lessons too late.
Yeah. Let's move on to this one. There's, there's not much I can say to that, Aditya, because it is what it is, eh? um,
That's something that Shane Warne used to talk about as well. Shane Warne and Kevin Peterson, they used to talk about marketing Test cricket a lot better. Like KP actually suggested that tickets for Test matches in South Africa should be sold for 10 grand,
mm,
like literally.
there's so much negativity to CSA. They want to bring us T20 league, and no surprise, people being negative. I don't think we're being negative about the league itself. We were being negative about us sacrificing Test cricket because there's going to be a fight for the survival of Test cricket. The day Test cricket disappears will most likely be the day I stop watching cricket. I feel sometimes I feel that way,
Do you think
because
what like think about the pipelines? How is it going to affect the pipelines? Like
yeah,
that. Look, kids. How does the aspiration to become a cricketer begin? Where does it begin? It begins when you see your heroes do special things on a cricket field wearing whites. If you don't see that as much, how are you going to know that there's something called Test cricket? It's not going to happen. Like, you watch AB de Villiers you watch AB de Villiers hit 278 runs in a Test match, and you feel like, listen, I want to do what he does because this is amazing.
hmm
But if he doesn't have the opportunity to do that, you're not going to have another kid from Klerksdorp wanting to do the exact same thing. It's just not going to happen.
yeah. And look, yeah, I'm not being negative towards the league. I know the positives of this league happening. It's going to be good for South African grassroots level. It's going to be financially. It's going to be good. I've always spoken about it from that perspective, saying financially it's going to be good for South African cricket if the money gets invested in the right areas. If they put the money back into the domestic level, they increase those type of things. But look at the Test cricket South Africa is playing now at the moment. We can see how much it means to them, how they fight, and the togetherness. The I don't know. I feel Test cricket just brings you together as a team a lot better than any other format, in my opinion. You 5 days out there in the field, and in extreme conditions, fighting it out together. Of course, it's going to be, of course, it's going to be tough, and of course, um, it's going to bring you together and make you better players because you learn from these things. So, I mean, at the end of the day, we have to accept as that this is how it is. Um, but I'm not worried about the T20 league and what it's going to do for South African cricket. I think it was a good thing to have a league of our own and to take a league and to have a league that will help us compete financially against the rest and maybe bring us a little bit closer to that. But we also need to remember that this T20 league is also going to fill the pockets of Indian groups as well, franchises as well. So we benefit, yes, but they benefit too. So the gap is still going to grow. It doesn't actually make us closer to India, but it will make us closer to maybe the other nations that are at the top. So Likle is saying over here, blame the big three. They are greedy. The border Gavaskar Trophy has now been increased to 5 match day series. Australia, and India all play 5 test match. I think you mean England. India, Australia, and England all play 5 test match series against each other. Is that what they're talking about? Who's the? I think so. I think that's what he means.
He means England, I think.
Yeah, I think he means England. Um, we are still playing less white ball cricket than other nations, not only Test cricket. Even in stadiums in SA only fill up for tests in New Year's test only. Yes, you see, test cricket, the only problem with test cricket is, and Aditya brought it up nicely. He said, because test cricket starts in the week, normally on a Thursday, or okay, they did it a Wednesday at Lords, but normally it's on a Thursday, and you play Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. So 3 out of those days, you could say to an extent, majority of those days will be during work times. So people can only really go watch it after. So the only way you keep things alive is by increasing the amount of broadcasting that happens for it. Allow more opportunities for people to watch it, maybe on their laptop, stream it, or on their phones, on their mobile devices, etc. Getting more eyes available to do that. Um, I think that eventually there's going to, I think almost eventually Test cricket has to almost have its own little pool, or pool of money that they can pull from, or events that they can create to create more money, so that perhaps that can help other nations increase what they have already. Oh, Jared Kimber proposed a Test cricket fund to help Test cricket going. That's a good idea. Um, we need to find ways on how to do that and how to increase it. Hardly the FTP only has 3 match series involving at least one of the big three in in this 5 year period. Yeah, and I mean we've been playing 3 match test series for quite some time. Sometimes 2 matches. I've even seen 1 match series. I'm like, what's the point? I was like, I mean, geez. Um, Khalid, day night cricket can increase, and that's true. Not now. The problem with that is again you need to have the funds to be able to create the ground and put up your floodlights and improve the ground, do construction, etc., to improve it for you to be able to play day night cricket. That's also now a problem. Also, there's going to be certain rules around, obviously, the city where the stadium is. There's going to have to be you have to close off parts of the city at certain times, maybe. Um, so that's also going to cost you on. But generally speaking, I think a day night is a good way to solve that. But then it takes away the fun of that opening session. I feel, in the morning, new pitch. Maybe there's a little bit of nip in the air, overcast conditions in the morning. It takes away that aspect of the game, I feel, which makes Test cricket great. I think every single school in the world should just decide that they're going to have a period of 3 hours that they're going to send their children to go watch Test cricket at the nearest cricket ground.
I completely agree with you. But I think that perhaps one thing that perhaps teams could consider is having, maybe in a 3 match series, you have one day night test match per series. I think, personally, I understand that change is hard to adapt to, but I can live with that. I think it's fine with me if Boxing Day test match, the Wanderers becomes a day night test match. I think that's fine with me. But uh, in the South African context, I would like to see a lot of government support for 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 Test cricket in different ways, right? Because let's say there's someone living in Brixton or in Fordsburg in Johannesburg. It takes a while for them. If someone is using public transport, it's going to take a while for an individual to travel to and fro. and particularly at night, because you can't always take a matatu or one of those taxis.
So crazy
That's
that you know all the terms.
like, and the how train doesn't go to these areas. Not to mention that the how train is expensive, but it in that sense, transport is a problem. But I would like to see some sort of government support for individuals. Like if you're traveling from Soweto to the Wanderers, it's a really long drive. It takes a long time to get there. Not everyone has cars. So these things need to be taken into consideration. And I feel like even if you charge a nominal amount for it, even the government is making revenue off it. So I would like to see that.
Mm. I mean, I would like to actually chat to maybe Lawson Naidu or someone from CSA actually and discuss what their thought process is, kind of to get an understanding of where they're going forward. I have tried to organize one. I'm waiting on it to see if it will come through, and then myself and Aditya will drill the man. I'm joking. We have a nice conversation. I think it will be a nice three-way conversation about the way forward for Cricket South Africa, because I know a lot of these decisions, like Lorenzo seems quite upset about it, say chasing the money, that things are South Africa's just chasing the money. I feel at at the end of the day, for South African cricket to survive, we have to, in a way, to an extent, we have to prioritize money, even if it is for the first 2 3 years that this new regime takes over, because we can't operate with no money. Unfortunately, that just is how it is, and we have a good women's system as well that we need to also think about and take care of. That's going to need a lot of financing too. I feel this league will help that too. That money won't be just shared amongst men's cricket; it will be shared amongst women's cricket. I hope too. So we need to develop that too. I mean, we have under 19 Women's World Cup in South Africa. Hopefully, that more opening more time opportunities for us to have major events. I hope that the ICC looks at South Africa as a destination like that. I'm surprised that South Africa isn't one of the leading destinations when it comes to sporting events. That we aren't hosting football World Cups more often, or cricket World Cups, or rugby World Cups more often. I really hope that it happens more in the future, because that does help the economy a lot. When the FIFA World Cup happened in 2010, it helped our economy a lot. Yes, it did set us back a little bit at the beginning, but over time it helped us a hell of a lot. And those major stadiums that they built around the country are used for other things, like concerts and other things that have increased the finances of this nation. So, and having the tourist attraction, tourists come down, like tourists like Natija will come down and they'll stay nicely in a nice area and see the view, and so it's important, for us to be able to have all these attractions for people, and it increases everything in South Africa, not only, and that's why that's a good idea to have the government maybe more involved with regards to not being involved with what decisions made,
Yeah.
but there needs to be some sort of pact in a way where money gets almost
It
integrated
has
in a
to.
way.
Look, if in South Africa, if cricket needs, if cricket or any sport needs to be taken to a larger audience, the government has to get involved, and that in large part is down to its political history, right? Now, from personal experience, I think South Africa has an incredible infrastructure. Like I used to, when you and I met, okay, during that test match, I used to drive to the Newlands every day, and it. I didn't have a problem parking or anything of the sort. It's unheard of. I can't do that anywhere in India. I can't take my car to a stadium. That's not possible. I won't find parking. It just doesn't happen. So, in that sense, it's so easy for me to watch a cricket game in South Africa. It's like a picnic, but that's not always the case in India because
It is like a picking people
it is
that
a picnic. It's easy for me to do that.
uh,
But
it is,
but
yeah.
for but like in the Cape Town context, for example, it has to be easy for someone from Khalid or Mitchell Plains or Manenberg to access the Newlands. that there has to be infrastructure for that. And I know that the Western Cape government is exploring the option of creating a new railway network in the province, but obviously that's a long time coming. It's not going to happen immediately, but there are ways in which you can rent buses, low cost fares, have that go on for a long period, through the night or something like that, if you're playing day night test matches,
mm,
and charge a certain sum of money for it. I think that's perfectly
mm.
all right, because you do have to pay your bus drivers, you have to maintain buses and so on. So it is possible, right? Like, but I don't know, someone needs to maybe have a chat with provincial governments.
I think those conversations are happening. Yeah, but okay. The funding is, I mean, I've seen it in a small sport like judo, for example. The funding is it's not there. I mean, it's an Olympic sport. It's the second biggest sport in Europe. Like South Africa, South Africa's judo fraternity didn't have much money, to be able to invest into it, which was such a big sport. Uh, in Europe, for example, coming when I came down and I saw the judo here compared to there, I was like, this is insane. And it's similar in all other sports. We have people tirelessly, selflessly working away and dedicating their lives to different sports in South Africa, and we're not reaping any rewards from it. Um, but yeah, like look here, the one thing it's like it's a two-ended a double-ended sword, you could say, because on the one side, South Africa's T20 leagues will increase the popularity of cricket and spread it wide. But then on the other side, you're not introducing them to the purest form of the game first. You're introducing them to the hype first. So they become attached to that, and they think that Test cricket is boring then. So the new generation coming through are going to be like, what is this Test cricket thing? Like, why can't we only play that? And that's what I'm fearing. Because a lot of as T20 cricket spreads in South Africa, right? The more of the younger generations are going to think that is what real cricket is, if they're not exposed to first class cricket, because they're not. They don't get to watch it on TV, first and foremost. When cricket's on, it's only white ball cricket. First class cricket's not shown on TV, as well as the stadiums are empty. So who's watching it? At the end of the day, we're not exposing our next generation to that. We're exposing our generation to T20 cricket and thinking that that is cricket. Um, yeah, and that's my fear, is that we lose Test cricket and the love for it. I'm feeling down, man. I love Test cricket. Just as our Test side is starting to rise again, we hit with this bad timing. Yeah, it is bad timing. It does suck, but that's what we have for you today. But guys, thanks a lot for tuning in. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Don't forget to smash the like button. Don't forget to comment, share, subscribe. Click that notification bell for all future videos. Also, download the latest issue of Cricket Fanatics Magazine monthly. Every issue is 100% free straight to your inbox every month. Link is on the screen as well as in the description. And also become a patron today. Also, go to cricketfanaticsmag.com for all your updates. We'll be starting our coverage for the new for the series for the next test, which starts on Thursday. So I think it's on Thursday, yes. So stay tuned to cricketfanaticsmag.com for all our updates, guys. We'll be doing previews, all of those type of things leading up to the test series. Thanks a lot for watching, everybody, and we'll see you guys again tomorrow for another daily show. Um, have a great week and a great end to your weekend. Peace.